Okay, this is when
Thank you, Auntie.
Heavenly Father, we thank you, we bless and glorify your name. Thank you for this last Sunday of the month, and we thank you for keeping us all alive to be able to attend this session today. Father, we just thank you for Deacon Wayne Yogoka, who has taken his time to do this class for us. And we pray, Lord, as we come together to enjoy our culture and to learn about our culture, we just pray that you be with us today and give us that listening ears and excitement to learn more about our culture. We just pray that all we do today will be to the glory of your name. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Auntie.
Amen.
Okay. So first off, I want to let everyone know that this meeting is being recorded. So, and again, thank you all for those of us that are here. Thank you all for joining. We appreciate you taking your Sunday to be a part of this. But trust me, you're not gonna regret this. So our speaker is Dikinwemi Yegwokan. Believe everyone here should be familiar with him. So without wasting time, I will pass it on to him.
Thank you, Odus, and thank you for the person who prayed, Wayne Okupa. Thank you for everyone on the call this evening. We thank God for bringing us here just to learn some of the things that we do in Itsekiri. It may not be the totality, but these are just a tipping point, some of the things that we look at as we grow up in the villages or in the city in the Itsekiri family. The topic today is the Itsekiri belief system from birth to death. So you assume and know that this is a very wide topic to cover in one lesson. But I will see how much we can do to cover today. I'll break the lesson up into different aspects of life in the Itsekiri family, the Itsekiri village, and in the things we do and the things we believe. The Itsekiri cultural system has evolved due to modern systems and religious influences in today's society. As a Christian, I do not agree or believe in some of these things that we will be discussing today. However, this is the lesson that we will be talking about. There are some here who will believe totally in everything. There are some who may not believe everything, but it's always good to know. And where does these beliefs come from? Why do they practice them? So that when we see it happen, it doesn't look strange to us. Because there are things people will do in society that is part of culture, but not all of them we agree to. This one is just for your information, and some things may have changed or have been modernized. Some things may have changed because of time. Now we have people using loudspeakers and microphone, and instead of drumming or clapping, there are other instruments that they can use in different times. The Itsekiri nation and culture are special. I always say that because when I compare what we do in Itsekiri and what we believe is quite different from a lot of other cultures. Like when you visit somebody, they bring you kola nuts, they bring you drink. In those days when I was growing up, there is nothing like wedge the cola, but the robots would do wedge the cola, and they put in some money to do it. But recently, I went to the village and I noticed that now they wedge the cola, and it is new, but they do it. So the Itsekiri are very specific, peculiar people with enviable origin that spans through the kingdom of Edo, as king coming out of there, from Yoruba, which is the Jebu and Ife, and from Igala, and some Portuguese culture and influence. Because you all know one of the kings of Itsekiri was married to a Portuguese woman, and they had children, and those children brought that influence into Itsekiri. And in fact, one of those crowns may have come, the crown that we use, that looks like the British crown, is exactly from Portugal. This was a story that we were told. The things I will discuss today are things I observed, I experienced, and or read from books by prominent authors. One thing about our people is that they have been writing things down for many, many years. But there are some that may not be written down, and it goes from oral tradition. People tell each other. And so I learned a lot of the things I know from my dad, from my uncles, and people in the village when they sit with us to tell us stories. One, I will start from the birth of a child, because the topic we're discussing is birth and death, or birth to death, in the Itsekiri culture. A child is a very important aspect of the Itsekiri society. Everyone in the society look at children, believe that children had a heritage and the blessing of God. If God blesses you, gives you children. If God wants to open the doors for you, He gives you children. Today, we don't have so many people marrying many wives and having many children. Those days, you will have some families who have maybe 70 children, 80 children, 20 children, 30 children. And now we have Itsekiris having 2 or 3 children. In the Ijo area, in my area, you still have people marrying and having many, many children. When I grew up in the village, there were people who had 100 children, 80 children. Most Itsekiris during my time, some people have 20, 25, and 30 children. Children are the greatest of all blessings. That is the way they look at it. It's not, can I take care of this child, or can I pay the school fees? Can I feed them? They always believe that once you have the child, God will provide. God is the one who feeds the children. God is the one who leads the children. Even though they may not believe in the way we believe in Christ today, but they still believe that their God that they worship can provide. And the worship and most Itsekiri culture is also that the family all worship God, but through different mediums. So when you get to the village, you see those signs. But even more than anything else, the people believe that children are the blessings of God. And we are supposed to have them so that we can be on this earth continually to bless the things that God wants us to do. These are some of the names that I wrote down that indicate to us that the Itsekiri actually love children. They love them. They want to have them. They bless, they give these names when they have children. The first one I wrote down is Omasheye. That means saying children or a child is life. If you have a child, life continues. And the second one is Oma Mone No. That means when you have a child, it gives you respect in the presence of others. So people respect you because of your child. People respect you because you have been blessed. Omamone Narua is another name that the Itsekiris will give to children. And it means that when you have a child, you can't be behaving like a child anymore. You have to behave now like an adult. So you respect yourself when you are with people, and you respect yourself so that people will not insult or say things about you that is wrong. The fourth one I have is Omamofe. Some people look for these children and they're saying, this is a child. I want the child. So when they have the child, they name the child Omamofe. They may have all the wealth. Wealth don't make children. God gives children. That's what they believe. And the fifth one I wrote down is Omasanjua. He says children are better than wealth. And some people will say, Omasanjua, Kirigbi. That means to say, if you have a child and the child is growing up, they will get to stages in life where they can go get you water. You can call them to do something for you, but you might train a goat, a dog. They might not do that for you. You may not put your money on the table and say, go and cook for me. But when you have a child, when that child gets to like maybe 15 years old, you can now say, can you go cook food for me if it's a woman? If it's a man, you can say, can you go to the bush to get firewood and all kinds of things. So children are very important and significant. That's why this person say, Oma Sanjua. Because you may have all the wealth of the world. It's not comparable to child. Then this is another name I wrote down. It's called Omare Shogua. That means child is the end of wealth. Because it's one wealth that nobody can buy. And maybe in modern times now you could buy children if you want, but I don't think that makes them your children. That makes them something different. But when you have a child, they say it is Ogunwa. That's the best wealth that you can get. And then there are some other sweet ones like Omaumi. I like children, or I like this child. And then you have Omayemi. That means this child is my beauty. This child is my joy. And then I have Omasanine, like saying it is good to have a child. Omasanine. All these are things that we believe that children are the greatest heritage. When we go to the village, people are classified into different groups. The general belief is that a child can transform the family, and a child can bring blessing to the family. Family may have everything, but one child may turn it around. And if you look at the life of those who were governors of the Benin River, the kings, all these top people in Itsekiri, when they have children, those children go on to do more things. You have Olumu, you have Olumu, you have Nana, and then his children, and all of that they lived on. And then you have people like Iye, and they have their children, and they lived on. And today, people still look at those families. In the royal family, there are so many names that are not remembered today because they didn't have no child to represent them going forward. And then I come to the birth of a child. This is significant of having a child. And then the Itsekiri believe that, and also the naming of a child at the birth. When a child is born in Itsekiri, they are named on the day of birth by the parents. We don't wait until the 8th day or the 9th day to name the child. But if you're a Christian, you can follow the culture of your church, can follow the Christian culture of naming on the 8th day. The names may also include appellations, which the Itsekiri people call Apuja. Every little child growing up will have an Apuja. It's either they give you a new one or they call you by one of your parents' Apuja or grandfather's Apuja, just to give you a perspective of life that you are not there alone. These people are with you and they're guiding you. You're bearing their name, representing them because you are here. There are no elaborate naming ceremony, parties, or fanfare. In the Yoruba culture, they have what we call Komojade, which is the naming ceremony. But the Itsekiri will say, Eneka Komojade, Eneka Koma Wali. So we don't have Kwamajade or naming ceremony. I'm not saying that we don't do it today. We could do it. We have naming ceremony for children today. I've been at many naming ceremonies, but those were not the original tradition of the people. What you do when you have a child, you put some drinks in front of the door, and those who come around will take a shot, they pray for the child, and they go. And the highest they will do is probably those who can enter your house will enter. Some of the reasons, in my opinion, is because when a child is born, the child is clean, but the child is not completely clean in the culture. And the woman who has a child is considered unclean as well. Some men and women cannot see a child until that child is like 3 months old or even older. In some cases, at least 3 weeks. This is because of their belief, and until the hair on the new baby has been shaved off, some people can't see that child. But there's a superstitious around that. They will tell you if they see that child, the child may not eat anymore. I don't know whether that is true. The newborn's hair is called tanama, the hair they come with. And usually they will say you have to cut that hair off on the 8th day or 10th day. But we don't even there anymore. Some children, when you take them to the village, some will say, oh, I won't touch this child. Have you cut off the hair that they came with? And if you say no, many people will say, no, I don't want to touch the child because they're carrying their Tanama hair on their head. And the mother of a child is also considered unclean for some months after childbirth and could also not be seen by some male or female of the community. This period for the woman is called Chagwe. That's a think she's still having some bleeding. And you know, in our culture, when people bleed, they don't want them around where men are, and some women can't touch them also. And those women who can't touch them, we call them ballets. You know, they are like men. They've gone through their menopause. They can help in the things that men do in the village, but not everything, but some things. And so they are fully respected. And I just did two parts of the lessons. Is there any questions before I go on to the next one, which is the children's life in Itsekiri as we have them in the village and in the homes? Any questions? Okay, let's go on.
Can I ask one quick question? I don't know if that's true, if it's a myth or if it's true that in some Shekiri culture, when the babies are born, that they would throw them in the river, and if those babies are able to survive, then they're good children. But if they drown, it's because they were evil, or there's some evil trait in them. That's why they did not survive that throwing in the river. Is there any such thing?
No, there is no such things from the villages I've lived in and the cultural things I've read. But as they believe in they say it is in Ijaw. I didn't go deep into Ijaw culture, but when I was young, we used to go to a place called Opuede, Remuri in Escravos. And when you go there, when you go into the creek, far in the creek, you see the children, you see them in the water. They just lay them on the water to take a bath. They may be little children of 2 months, 3 months, and you see them just we don't do that. The Shekiri believe that the Shekiri child cannot die in the water, whether they're young or old. But when it gets to some sense of responsibility, you need to be able to swim. But we don't throw them in the water to test whether they're good or bad. We cherish them, we love them, we won't throw them in the water. There was a story that when I was young, maybe when I was like 2 or 3 years old, and I don't know when I was 3, I don't know, but it's a story that was told. But me and my brother, my immediate senior brother were walking along the creek, the shore of the creek, and the current was high. They used to call that Idara. So the water is only flowing to one side all day. And then later, when it's filling up, it will slow down a little bit. And I got in that water, and I wasn't taken away, but I was able to hold something in the middle of the water. And my brother called, and they said, nobody dies in this creek. It doesn't matter whether you know what you're doing or not. But when things like that happen, then they will go and thank a god that they have in the community. It's called Ori. They'll go and give him some drinks and thank him for what he did and all that. But it's God. I believe not that it's God that saved me.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. The bet okay, something. Question?
Yeah, I want to say something, Uncle.
Yeah.
Please, can you take me back to in those days that they said when you give birth to twins, they get rid of them?
Yes. It was a bad and sad time in Itsekiri culture. When the king came from Benin and he left from Ijala to Big Wari, when he got to Big Wari, he found out that the people in Irigbo, the Igala people, have a lot of children and bear a lot of twins. And he was scared that if he allowed them to continue to bear twins, they would overshadow them. So they decided to put a law. And the law was basically, if you have a twin child, we'll throw the child away. That woman is unclean. Everybody is unclean. And that continued for a very long time. And it translates to many Itsekiri villages, because most people, apart from the 5 original Itsekiri community, every village started to emulate it. And it didn't stop until maybe in the late 50s. Even in Okere, until tomorrow, if you have a twin child, you have to faja, you have to do some ceremonies. And if you have a twin in my village in Jala, if they know you're going to have a twin, they'll send you out of the village. And the child cannot come back to the village until they are able to walk by themselves. If they cannot walk by themselves, they can't come back. My wife Doris was a twin. When first she was born in Madao. And then she couldn't come back to Jala until she was able to walk into the community. And she was maybe like 9 years old. They said, I'm not sure, 9, 10 years old. My senior sisters, they're in England now. One is in England, one is in Nigeria. They were twin children to the Boyo family. They were not allowed to come into the village. So for years, they didn't come into the village. And when they were old enough to come, and they said, no, we don't even want to come to that village again. And my dad had a wife from the Fregenet family. And they had a child, they had twins, but my dad was not home. And when they had the 2 children, the woman said she didn't, because she's from the royal family, she cannot keep twins. So they put them in the earthen pot and take them into the Ogboburukun, they will call it. That means the evil forest. And they leave the children there to cry until they die. So my dad has 2 children, a twin children that were taken into the evil forest and led to die. He wasn't happy when he came back, and that was what broke up the marriage, I was told. But it was a story. And you are from Oborodo in Madao. They say there's a lady in Madao or somewhere around who had twin 3 times. And she said, no, I don't want it. They killed the twins, they killed the twins, they killed the twins. And she didn't have it again. But now we're more civilized. We understand that the twin child is not an evil child. In Yoruba, they have cultures around twins. Sometimes the twins will ask you to go beg in the market, or sometimes they'll say, don't do no work anymore, or cook beans for people every weekend, and all kinds of things. But I'm not following the Yoruba culture. But as of today, if you have a twin in a village, the worst they can do is to faja. That means they will cleanse the village. They will do some oracle and do things to cleanse the village. But we don't see them kill them anymore. But if the owner of the child don't even want the child, they will say somebody else to take care of the child in the family.
To come in again, I think the situation of twins in Nigeria was kind of
That's so sad.
widespread. I think that was widespread. It wasn't just the Shakiris, because if you think back of history about Mary Slessor, who actually came to bring some kind of, enlightenment to Nigerians, knowing that twins were not evil. So, and she saved a lot of um, twin babies, if I remember history back then. So it wasn't just
Yeah,
the Shakiris, but it was
his
kind of
yeah,
widespread in Nigeria.
that was why I went to the Yoruba. Mary's lesson was in Calabar or somewhere. Chekiri won't know what is happening over there. We don't have Facebook and things to know.
That's true.
But our own culture, the reason it came up, that was the reason I gave. It was one person, one king, who felt there would be oppression because the Igala people who were living in Okotomo in Big Wari normally have plenty children. Twins, twins, twins. And he was scared that this may become a problem, maybe overtaken, just like the story of the Jews in Egypt when they were having children. And the king says, if they have female children, leave them alone. But when they have male children, kill them. But Moses was spared. But most things happen, and you must understand that the Shakiris come from many tribes in Nigeria. Like I said before, some came from Igala, some came from Ife, some came from Ijebu, some came from Edo State, and all these people come with different culture, and they keep what they want to keep, and they take the ones they don't want to keep away. So culturally, we are diverse in the things we do, but the language we speak is one. But culturally, when you get into some villages, they do different things. Like in Koko, they will not use any goat to do ceremonies for dead body. When somebody die in Koko, they don't do that. And if somebody die in other villages, they'll say, go and bring a kirigbe, go and bring a kirigbe kun and all this. And they make you pay so much money for funerals. All right. Any more questions? Okay, I'll move on to children's life in Itsekiri. Children's life in Itsekiri is very, very sweet. When you grow up in the village, there is no danger of anything, but people might tell you stories about witch and wizards. And the little things else you fear in the village will be snakes and things. We don't have lions and things that will come and tear people apart. We have some deer. Is it deer? You call them a bears. Yeah, that will come to your fishing place. But children enjoys life. These are some of the things children will do when they're growing up in our communities. Child lives an active life in the culture, running around playing different games, swimming, attending schools, and helping with household chores, farming, fishing, and helping within the household business and trade activities. So as you're growing up as a child, you're learning from the family, you're going into the farm, you're going to fish, they're teaching you how to do the paddling, they're teaching you how to go into the bush by yourself. When you get to some age, maybe like 12 and 13, you can go get firewood and all that. But it's a very active life, and the first thing I wrote down here is children moonlight plays. Like during the full moon, all the village, it's just like we have electricity now. Everywhere is bright. and everybody's playing outside, and we play hide and seek, and they call this Eyigbo, and then everybody go and hide, and somebody's looking, and then you find the person, everybody's happy, and most elders will be outside listening because they just want to know that you are safe playing outside. And children have daytime plays as well. In the village, there are so many things they do. You're learning how to dance, you're learning how to sing, you're learning how to drum, but they still have time to play. You play little soccer, you do gbele. There's something, a small piece of things, you put it on the ground, you set it up like a team on one side, and you roll that thing. You have to know how to roll it. If you don't roll it well, they say ogobo. They say ogobo we share. They call it a share. And there's a way you throw it on the ground. And elders and everybody will be watching the children do it. Sometimes the elders will join you too. And the children also have what we call it too. It's like in Wari we call it koto. You pull it up and you play it on the ground. Some people will do this for the whole day. They want to leave. We have a you play a you, families have it, and then you have the apele, like a draft, you play and you call people by name and make fun of people, and you do that. You win somebody today, the next day you say, you man, this one, I beat him all the time until he's able to beat you. And then we also have what we call ujiri, wrestling, the village wrestles. Sometimes one village will go to another village and wrestle. Sometimes it's wrestling between the community. The children will wrestle. It's not to get any award, but I think it's all to strengthen your body because you're really running around. And there are many, many other things. These are daytime games that children do in the village. Now we still do things. They run in school and do all that, and then you go to different communities to run. Sometimes those of us in Jala, we go to Burudo, or we may go to Befan, or we may go to Khartoum to go and compete with other children. And then you have the children moonlight storytelling. Some older people in the village will tell stories. Some children will tell story, and we'll call it Aro. Aro. It may not be a real story, but it's a kind of life learning story. And they will tell you, we have some animals that are very corny, and they will tell you why they're corny and why they do the things they do and all that kind of stuff. And then you begin to reason within yourself, if I see this animal, this is what I will do. Or if I see somebody behaving like this animal, this is what I will do. So most of the story we center around the tortoise, who will give instruction and maybe want to fly, and maybe want to do a long race, and we know it can run, can't do long races. So they tell you all these stories just to give you some perspective about life. And then we also have the children riddles and jokes, and sometimes we call these, the jokes will be stories about things that have happened in the past, while the riddles will be called eleu. You say something like Oreo Bonagbe Kokoro. So who is going to the market to take just hitting on their head or any time? And you would say, oh, an Oreo Bonagbe Kokoro is a port. Because before they buy, they want to sound it. So they strike it with their knuckles and see whether it's the right one. So many things children do in the village. Those are the active life of children in the community. Then they also learn to respect their elders. Children are taught to respect their elders. We will not insult our parents. We cannot insult those who are older than us. We are not supposed to insult authorities. Everyone is supposed to respect authority. But all that breakdown in the 80s, now children insult whoever they want to insult. They don't care anymore. But before the 80s, if you insult somebody in my village, they'll bring you down. If that person is older than you, and they will give you some whip in the presence of the elders and tell you that is not the way people behave. They will tell you, you don't talk to people and insult people. And we also learn how to greet one another. You can't walk past your elderly person and don't greet them. You don't want you to walk past your mother and you don't greet them. You can walk past your mother 10 times a day, and every time you do, you still have to greet. You can't say, Mama Mokin, so you can't do that. You greet them every time you meet, and they will ask you questions, and you answer those questions. So respect is very important in the Itsekiri culture. And as children, they respect themselves too. If you are older than somebody by 2 days in Itsekiri, is your elder person. Even if it's 1 day, they will say, he was the first one who drank the water of this world. So he's older than you. He may not know more than you, but he's older. And so everyone has hierarchies. You have who is older, you talk about it. And as we grow older in the community and people start to die, they record who is going to be the next Olaraja. The next Olaraja may just be 1 day older than you, but he's going to have the title before you. And with adult children, once the children are approaching their teen and young adult age, things change a little bit in the way they interact with opposite sex due to several taboos depending on the communities. This is a very wide aspect of the Itsekiri culture. Once you begin to turn teen, and especially from about 13, 14 years old, people have different eyes on you to be able to do different things and understand those things and the implications of what you're doing. And in most cases, you are taught, and then they start to try to separate you, the men from the women from the men, know when to do things and know when not to do things. Because at this stage, anything can happen, and children don't understand all. And what they don't want to happen is that two brother and sister begin to sleep together and have a child. That child will be destroyed, will be killed, and they don't want close relatives to do the same. Not using the same restroom or bathroom with opposite sex. They will have where they build for the men separately. You go over there, the women will go to their own bathroom. In fact, when I was growing up, I didn't know women has bathrooms. I don't know. I didn't believe that they even use it, because we don't see them going. But the man goes. But then when you start to grow up in maybe 15, 16, and then you see your own people telling you, your age mates now are women telling you, we're going to the bathroom. But they won't say they're going to the bathroom. They will use a Itsekiri language like, Monori Balue, or Monori Pite. But if your little baby is still growing in your early ages, when somebody says they're going to beat, you don't know what it means. But they will not tell you straight what they're going to do. But the men can tell you, they will say so. But the women won't say so. They will hide it in a way that only the adult people understand. Only the adult people understand. So they start to separate you so that they can protect the culture. Male children must be circumcised. I would say must. I encourage to be circumcised, because some family will say we don't circumcise our children until they're old enough. Some could be 15 years before they do it. Some would say if we circumcise them too early, they may die. But in most culture, in Itsekiri, they want you to circumcise a male child before when the child turned 8 years old, when they don't feel too much pains. And the young girls also, their ears will be pierced so that when they grow up, they can use hearings and things. And if a young child has not been circumcised and they get to like 13 or 14 years old, we will call them a ballet in the village. So you can use them to do a lot of cleansing of the village, helping women who in their menstrual, just get out of menstrual to cleanse the house and all that. So in some of the communities, when women are in their menstrual period, they can cook for the household. They may be able to cook for their husband, but they will tell them not to put no salt so that the food is not complete. The husband can put the salt and finish that. So if they are cleansing the house after that period, the young men who are not circumcised will be used to do that service. And then women who are also past the age of childbirth and in their menopause are also allowed to do that. There is always a warning that we should not serve anyone with our left hand. I'm guilty of doing that. I know Mode will correct me all the time when I do that. When you serve somebody with your left hand, it's not because the left hand is not good, but it's because it's a tradition that we believe that when you put the person, a dead person in the grave, two men will go into that grave with a person, one on the leg side, one on the head side. And when they're serving the libation, they use their left hand to pour the libation. So if you're giving everybody things with your left hand, it's like you're telling them you're already dead to me. But it may not mean that, but that's the way they look at it. It's just like when you step on a young child's leg. When you step on a person's leg that is younger than you, culturally, we will say you are stepping on their grave. And you're not supposed to be stepping on their grave. And then you will say, tell me. So if they mash you, if you mash them and they're younger, you let them mash you. Because when we are laying people to rest on the grave, they will call all the family, the brothers who are younger, the sister who are younger will come and step on the grave. And then they'll call the children to step on the grave. And because of that, when you step on a child, they will tell you to change that by telling the child to step on you. Sexual relationship among siblings, cousins, and relations are prohibited. And also amongst adults who you can't take your brother's wife or your cousin's wife. It's prohibited. And just to keep the culture and to keep the people safe, it has happened in many cultures. You can't marry two sisters. If you do, there is a repercussion. I have a cousin who married two sisters, was marrying the first one, and then the first one brought, I think, the fourth sister to live with them, and he impregnated her and then decided to marry her because her sister left. It wasn't good. He didn't live very long. And everybody didn't want to go to that house. And if you remember the story of Itsekiri, the reason the Itsekiri people moved to Okun and all these places was because of Omagene, who took two loose children. He married to one and then slept with the other one. And then they wanted to kill him, but the Lobo Sheriff family killed them by themselves. And that didn't go well with the royal family, and everybody ran all over the place. But traditionally, it is something that we don't want to happen. Some people may marry, when the person divorced, somebody else can marry them. I have seen people in my village that married maybe more than one person in the same village, but they know the story ended before they start with somebody else. If somebody sleep with somebody's wife who is married, they will say, and that means there are some ceremonies that has to be done, and that person will pay a fine for doing so. So sexual relationship is a very important thing. In some of our communities, there are times where people go free and they do what they like, but it ends there at that community. They don't take it out of there. And I have been told I've not experienced it, maybe from 2 or 3 communities where times are declared, people just do whatever they like, maybe during their festivals. I haven't seen it, and it's just a story. Okay, I'll stop here and wait for a little questions if you have questions, because this is a very big area. Any questions, observations?
A question. One. Go ahead first.
Omerebogo,
Are we not, sir? No, sir.
is there any initiation for Itsekiri young boys to the adulthood?
I was going to get to that. There is no initiations, but in Itsekiri, we believe in very many class of people. We have the Omatie, we have the Agbalagba, we have the Kanwori, we have the Egare, we have all this. But when you are in the village, I'll get to that, but when you are in the village as a male child, it will get to a point where they will tell you, that means they want to take you into the secret place where the masquerade and things come from. And once you go to that place and come back, once you have been admitted into the Ekun, that means you have left the childhood stage. You are now in a different stage. You don't sit with women anymore and put stories about things. You don't tell the secret of that place. And when the men are holding meetings at night, at different times, you can remain with them. When things happen at night in the village, you are in a class who can come out. But we don't do graduation from one group to the other, but we have the youth, we have the different group. And in some communities, they will have different celebrations. When the youth celebrate, when the elders celebrate, when the elders are celebrating, they will say, Aja, we know Shium. And then when the youth are doing their things, they will say, Omati Aja, I know Shium.
Is it the same for women too?
Women, I think the women will guide the girls that are already showing signs of puberty, and they will tell them to not to stay with men alone in any place, just to protect them from rape or molestation and all that. Because most villages start with one family and few visitors, so they try to make sure they protect that. I have noticed a lot. One of my aunties, 2 of the grandchildren had a child together. They were living together in one house and they had a child, and it was very traumatic. They didn't want that child to leave. They did everything. I think the child was aborted. And then for several months, they were going back and forth to Big Worry and go and do a go to cartoon, to go and do something else. And all those, they call them Itsekiri, and they always believe that if you don't clear those things, it kills everybody, kills people all the time. But I don't know if that is true.
My 2 cents worth. It's interesting you mentioned the stepping on the foot. I grew up trying to understand why I always had to hear, Temi. I was like, what am I stepping on your foot? So it's good to hear you say that it's cultural. That's why they kept having us do it. But
Yes.
more to your point of the women, actually, when the girl goes to her first menses, it's actually celebrated. Because I remember my aunts actually, they had a celebratory dinner, they killed chicken, and it was, I guess the welcome to womanhood was actually celebrated. So that's the way they did it for us growing up.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank
that.
you, Mrs.
Never
Mayo. I think that was one question I was going to ask. I know, like with the Urobo culture, where during that time they would do circumcision on the girls, and then they will like prepare them into adulthood or prepare them for marriage.
So I
Yeah.
think that was the question I was going to ask. Yeah.
Yes, some of the girls, I remember we had a classmate, the Bereri family. She actually left school and went home to get circumcised and then came back to school. So I know, to your point, yes, they did that. That was not in my area, but a few of the Shakiris did do that. She was from the Sapele area at that time. But I know for the rest of us, there was big celebration, welcoming you and stuff like that. So, these days everyone keeps quiet and hides it, but it was a big to do. So you had to tell the elders because they got you through preps and what you needed to do at that point, but they also celebrated it for you.
Yeah. Culturally, I've not read anything that Itsekiri does that, but maybe individual families may do it. But the Urobos have what they call the Egbeimote when they do the circumcision. My grandmother is from Onwe and Alaja. So growing up, I used to go a lot to Onwe and Alaja when our family people are doing circumcision. And they will invite all of us who are men. But the ones they do it for are those who have been betrothed. And it's not everybody. Because I don't think every one of them does it. They will bring those who are already betrothed to the men, because the men too will be there to do part of the ceremonies. So I have cousins who did that, but I never grew up anywhere where that is celebrated. But like the question would be, how do the women know they come to maturity? So it's maybe they do some little things to invite them on the day they have it. Because some of them might run home, I don't know what is happening to me, and they really don't teach you until it happens.
So maybe because you're a man, they won't
let
have
me
told
know.
you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's possible. Yeah. Adult children, we looked at adult children, then we'll look at young adults. These are religious and traditional requirements in the Itsekiri culture. The question was asked before. At this stage, the male children will be taken to join the Ekun. And once you join Ekun, it's a sign of maturity. They can take you there when you are 15. It depends on who is taking you. If young men take you there, they will beat you to pop. And they will beat you so much because you're blindfolded when they're taking you in. And they say you did not see nothing when you get there, but when you get there, they won't blind you and then they beat you up and say everything you see here, you can't tell no woman out there. So everyone who has had that is considered matured, and whatever you see, you keep it. They'll say you keep it until you die. You don't have to tell nobody else, except those people who can go there. In Oborodo, I think I've had some of my uncles when they go to Oborodo and they want to put them in. They don't have a Urubu, they'll call it Urubu. I'm Urubu. Then you cannot go to any other Itsekiri, and I don't know if they beat them up, but one of my uncles was taken and he closed his eye all the way, and then they left him because he refused to open his eyes to see anything. And they brought him back and say, and they left him alone. Once they are introduced to the Ekun, they are expected to keep secret from women and children. So whatever they see there is for their consumption. Even if you know anything from there, you don't say it. You just keep it to you. The young ladies may start to dress well with wrapper when they get to this young adult age. When I grew up in the village, children walk around until men and women walk around like they don't care, because it's no shame really, because there are so many people doing it. Sometime up to 10 years old, 9 years old, even up to 12 years old. Some people, they will tell them, you already have breasts, or you're already growing pubic hair, so go and wear something. And what they will do is, take one cloth, tie it over your neck and just throw it on yourself. But once you get to the age, and the ladies get to this age, they try to tie wrapper now and try to learn how to tie wrapper, because some people walk around in the village with underwear only. I used to do that. I used to do that. We just comfortable with the underwear. It's hot, so what do you want to do? Just wear your underwear. You can jump in the water and swim a little bit when you want. And when you get to that age too, you start to want to put on proper clothes. Everyone is encouraged to find a job or a vocation, both male and female. They try to tell you things to do. I used to catch a lot of animals going to the bush, and I used to weave a lot of baskets, and my aunties would take them away and come back and give me maybe 20 pence or 20 penny. They say that's all this. And I do so much work to weave all the baskets. At all this time, you learn vocation. People start to know what they want to do. They stay in school. Even the schools where you grow up, they will tell you you have to be learning something. So you bring some of your craft to school. They will say, this is craft day, this is craft time. You bring your mat that you wove. You bring the pots that you made, clay pots, and things that you did by yourself, and show it, and things that your family are doing that you're involved in. You can bring it in. And they will have a gardening in the school where people go and farm. If you like to plant coconut, or you like to plant sugar cane or anything, you bring yours and you plant it, and you make sure you guide that thing that you planted until somebody can eat out of it. These are the times we'll be looking for a suitor for marriage when they are in this age group. Marriage are usually arranged by family, or introductions are made, but each one is also allowed to find their own spouses. I know it's a difficult thing today. We don't do that as much. But before, once children are growing up, they say, anyway, that is your wife. This is that. And then you start to look on that and believe in it too. And sometimes it works. Sometimes they might take the woman to somebody else. But in that age, you begin to identify who you want to live with, how you want to live with a person. And if the family agree, at the end of the day, that may be your wife. And there are also festivals in Itsekiri, many, many festivals. The oldest one, like some people say, it will be Okere-Juju, but that may not be the oldest. There are many other cultures where they have a lot of masquerade or juju and all kinds of things. But we also celebrate Easter season. We celebrate the New Year. And most New Year, when they're celebrating in the villages, is a time that they honor God. They will talk about the New Year day. They will say, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. You dance around and eat. But on the evening of that day, some families will start to remember their loved one that has passed. There might be libation pouring, drinking, and all kinds of things. And then on Christmas, which we call Christmas, you also have celebrations, people coming together. The church will do, those who are Christians will do, but Itsekiri will still emulate it. If you remember, Christianity came to Itsekiri many, many, many years ago. In fact, some people say it's first from the Portuguese, but it wasn't really established well, because they have the Capilla, which is the Cathedral St. Anthony in Big Warri, which has been there since the king, what's his name now? I can't remember. One of the kings who was the Portuguese one who brought all this culture. And then they celebrate all these. And, in our culture, we don't have bread and we don't have wine. So they still carry on the culture by breaking kola nut and giving you a glass of ogogoro, which represent what they were doing in those days with the wine and bread, which is like the communion. But we have taken that to a further extent by worshiping our ancestors instead of holding on to what those beliefs were all about, which was Christ died on the cross. Live, live, live life and enjoy That's one thing the Itsekiri people believe in. And if you are followers of the Itsekiri group today, you will see so many celebrations in Warri all the time. They have Yigagofen, they have this, they have all kinds of things. Villages are celebrating. Everyone, both male and female, are expected to become responsible members of the community and to contribute to the economic and social interests of the community. They will join meetings, join pressure groups, and may become chiefs, businessmen, and women. They start as Omatiaja, then they become a Kenaja, and we also have a Biraja. Then you have Olare, Toaja, and all this class of people, and all of them have different roles to play. But in the 80s, we have this new group that we now call youth. And the youth have really changed Itsekiri in a way that the elders really have no authority, because the youth thinks every elder is stupid, that they never was youth before. So that culture from the 80s has affected most Itsekiri community, and most Itsekiri community today is like a PLC or like a company. So you have management committee, you have trust, you have this, you have that. Before then, we don't have all of that. You just have the Olaja, and then the elders council in each village that take care of each village and make the decision. But once the youth took over that, I know of communities where they beat up elders and who is supposed to be Olaja. They will not give it to him because they don't think they trust him. They want to put a younger person that they trust. And it's crazy. And I know my dad, when he was supposed to be Olaja, it was not him. There was somebody who was supposed to be Olaja, and they said he didn't like him. And my dad should be Olaja. My dad said, no, I can't be Olaja when my senior brother is here. So there was no Olaja for a long time until that person passed on, and then my dad accepted responsibility. But the youth just said, no, we're not going to allow him. We're not going to do this, which was crazy. And the youth has brought so much things and setbacks to Itsekiri, because I'm not saying they're not doing what they should do, but they should not be the one running no community. They should allow the elders who have wisdom to do it, and they learn from the elders rather than putting every elder aside and take over that. And death and funeral would be one area that I want to talk about. In Itsekiri, when somebody dies, the first thing they do is to find out whether this person lived a good life or this person lived a wicked life. Sometimes we might say they have witch or they're wizards, but sometimes it's not only that. If you live a wicked life and all you were doing was doing medicine to kill people or do things, then they will say you are not clean. So they will use the oracle at death. And the oracle, we call it the first, some people say it's Ominigbo. And those who sit by the fair, we call them Obaiture. They are the ones who interpret what they're saying. You can Google that Ife thing and they'll bring it together, beat it together, throw it down, pour some drinks on it, and then they'll set it up and then they will read it. And if they find out that this person did something that the person could not be buried in the town, that person will be thrown away. They'll give a couple of days before they bring the person back and do burials. But for a clean person, they would go ahead and plan the ceremony. Death is highly celebrated when people die. It's one celebration that the Itsekiri do most. They spend a lot of money to do that, to bury somebody, because they don't believe that when somebody dies, that is the end of life for that person. The person has died to transition to another level where they become ancestors to those who are living. Person can be buried in the town as a good person. Special things happen in the grave, but that will not be a subject of discussion. Once the body has been buried, there is an elaborate ceremony starting with entertainment of guests and dances. So this is a good person or somebody who was evil but has now been cleansed and brought back. When somebody died, they're not clean, the Itsekiri will say, throw the body away, our you. When they you the person back, they can do the ceremony. But most people will be so ashamed to do that, so they leave it and maybe never do it. But some will go back and try to finish the whole ceremony. So at our ceremonies, there will be so elaborate drinking, feeding, eating, and dancing. Some could take days. Some is 2 days, some is 3 days. But now I think because of finances, apart from the ships, most funerals are done in 1 day and 1 afternoon. That's it. The funeral rites will start with a song. Usually in the evening, we'll put up the capella. What is it called? Capella, the capellage. The big agma, they put it up. And once they put the agma up, and when it's time to open it up, which the Itsekiri will call Afe Wu Oku, when they want to Wu the Oku, they have a set of songs that they will sing. And they sing these songs, and you can see some sorrows in the song. You can see some grief in the song, and like remembering the one who passed on. And all these songs, the first set of songs, sometimes it's 8 and 7, sometimes it's 9, but nobody keep a count. Once you say Mefari, they say everybody agree that is 6, even if it's only 3 that you have done. And you go back and forth, and they sing those songs. And this first one is called the Ukukwe. There is usually no drumming. It's a quiet procession. They will clap their hands. They will step on the ground, mash the ground, and just praise. And the first song they will sing is, it's a series of songs, but the first one they will sing when they are doing that is Ogelewu, Ogelewu, Ogelewu. And then they will say, Ogelewu, Gbagba Kolo, when they're leading that. And at the end of that 7 or 9, whatever they get to, then they will sing a closing one. And the closing song for the Ukukwe will be Obeme. And sometimes they will say Obeme, Obeme, authority. But sometimes they might say, and they sing that. That means to tell you that you need to bring some drinks now. It's time to drink and celebrate. So they will bring the drinks out. There will be hard alcoholic liquor, some malt drinks, and other kinds of drinks. And they'll bring all of this together. And then they will choose somebody who will divide the drinks for the women, for the dancers, for those who were washing, and everybody will share that drink. And then they will start another set of song. And this next set of song is called the Obiogbe. And when they dance in the Obiogbe, they will use drum this time. And the drum will sound like a celebration now, like they're happy and dancing, and they will do sword. That means like using the sword to give praises to the one who died and say, if it was a war, we would have fought this war, we would have won. But this war we cannot fight. None of us can fight with death to win. But if it was physical fight, we would have done our best for you. When they start with the Obiogbe always start with a song, and they call that song. They will sing the song is called like Ide Neo Aramino Bebo Ide Neo. And when they finish those sets of 9 or 10 or 7 or 9 series of songs, many songs, they put all kinds together. At the end of that, they will sing another ending song for the Biogwe, and it's called Edegbeni Seriukume. It's Edegbeni Seriukume Se Edegbe Edegbe ni o seri okume o. Edegbe. When they are singing this song, nobody goes out to dance anymore. You know, two people will come, one from here, one dance around. But at this final song, nobody goes out. Everybody dance and they close the whole thing and the entertainment continues. And then at some point, they might bring some other dance like Ogono for people to dance. And as the night continues, all kinds of dances coming in. And then it will get to a point in the night, they will dance Egwene, which will follow. And the Egwene is from Usele. And sometimes the song will start like, I can't remember now, but something like Eyulu to Bona by Jayiru. They will say, this is not, they say, Oluto pewe wa pewe Oluto fowe wa pewe Onete ma unre pe unluku Eyulu bona ba Jayiru. And then they will sing. It's a lot of quiet, sad song, but they will say it's the drumming that Ubana. Ubana was one of the king's children from Usele. And then after the Egwene, they will have, I think it's a reverse, I'm not too sure now, but then you have the Iluomi, where the women will come, the men will come. The women will line up on one side, line up, and they will sing several songs. And the dancing is just like stylish. You raise your two hands up and just shake your body a little bit. And they do that for several hours. And then when early morning comes, and have another ukwe. And sometimes they call that Oribiti Mwekeregbe. And it's just funny dance, like when they dance in Kerebeni. So they just put all kinds of funny songs and they dance around and fun. Usually after they bury the person, on the third day, the family will go and visit the grave. And the purpose of visiting the grave is twofold. One is to see whether that grave cave in or it rise. If the grave cave in, that means yes, that person was truly good. But if the grave rises, they have to take that body from the ground. That means they made some mistake with the faith. But if everything worked right, then there will be what they call the third day temoshi, pouring of libation. And everybody will come. And this is a time they will pray for families, for the children, and come to the graveside and do all of this. Other rites for the dead is to the next one after this, maybe after several months, they go back and they will do the ceremony of Nibukwan. And then finally they will go Wali. At that stage, they will say that person funeral has been completed and this person is now part of the ancestral. When they are praying, they will pray to that name if they remember. And if they have children that love to follow the tradition, they can now start celebrating their father or mother every year or every other year or things like that. Like my grandfather, they used to celebrate him on the 15th of January of every year, but that was done by my uncle. But when he died, everything stopped. So he was always doing that. We remember that. And those are the highlights of some of the things that happens with Itsekiri birth, our belief system, and what we do, and the death, and what we do when they die. Thank you for the privilege to discuss this. Some of the things, like I said before, I don't believe all of it, but that is the culture, and we're here to talk about the culture. If you have questions, contributions, or any comments, let me know. Thank you.
Question, please. Question.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I don't know if Shekiri has any Do you have any, I'm talking about homosexuality or gay. Do Itsekiri have anything against or in favor, or I don't know?
We don't have it as a culture, but when I was growing up in the village in Katu and in Jala, we have one of our uncles that always behaved like a woman. He would tie a woman wrapper. When he's going to the market, he carries umbrella and he does that, but I don't think he has a partner. But in his life, he just lived like a woman because he has 4 sisters and he lived with them. He was married and a child at one point, but he just turned and he does things that women does. He fry pop off. He sell oil and pepper in the market. And it does only the things that women would do. And he ties his wrapper like women. Sometimes he will wear bra too like women. And we all would be laughing. But I didn't know nothing about gay at that point. I didn't know anything. But as I grow older, I begin to remember that my uncle Atukpo may be one of them, but maybe he didn't find anybody to practice it with. But his life, his ways, and everything was like a woman. He wants to live like a woman. When he wants to eat, he would want to sit down like the women as well, sit on the stool and eat. But when the men are eating in the village, we sit in the mat and we spread our legs to the right, and our left hand will touch the ground, and we eat like that. Your hand goes into the bowl. But when he's eating, it's like the women sit on a stool and eat. So I don't think we have a culture. And if that happens, they might kill the person if they find a man and a man doing something together. But those are secret things I wouldn't know. But there's no culture about gay or anything. But it may happen.
Okay, my question. I know we talked about the the buffet or whatever when someone dies in the Shekiri culture. I My question is that do you think sometimes the oracles are wrong? Especially we've seen cases where people have like diabetes with wounds that they end up dying, and the fair or whatever we see it as being someone with that is not a good person. So is this affair ever wrong in actually what they came up with to decide who is good and who is bad?
I will not say because I don't know, but I don't believe in it. But it could be right because they have many who would read the same thing. They practice it and they learn it and it speaks to them. But when somebody died from maybe swollen body and things like that, they might say, oh, it's a god. So that is not the fair. They won't use the fair in that way. They'll say, maybe it's a way you really or he does something bad, and they tell him to confess, and they bring all this thing on him. And then some people will say, okay, maybe I don't know, maybe I did something. That one could be suspicious because we're just labeling the person for what we don't know. But that is not a fair. You have to die first before they be fair, whether you are a witch or a wizard. And the other thing also is that we have so many gods that we worship or the people worship that will say, I killed somebody, and they need all the property of the person and all these kind of things. And there are many ways the Shekiri will not bury somebody. If they die on the water, they will not bury them. They won't take them into the town to bury. If they die having a child, they won't bury them. If you die with a sore in your body, they will not bury you if it's a live sore. But what they do is that before the person passes on, if the families are there, we'll do something we call dying. That means you go to that sore and use a fresh blade to put a slash on it so that it can show bleed. And at that point, when the person die, they will bury the person. But all the other things, like you have a liver problem, your body swell, and all that thing, I think is something within the families. If they know what it is and they tell the people when they be fair, I think the fair will come clean. But if somebody is swollen and rotting and body's rotting, yes, the Shekiri will suspect something. Because they will tell you that you cannot be alive and be rotten. So they believe that instead of that, you should have died. But then it does happen. We have people who have those issues.
Which in that case, there's some ignorance there too,
Yeah, a
where
serious
we just,
ignorance.
yeah, we misjudge people, and and can you imagine the family going on living with those stigma and what have you in their family
Yeah.
line?
Yeah, and then
And
sometimes dear who can do the wrong. They may read
mm,
it, and that's why you have to go and do yours first. Like in Wari, if you live in Ubeji, they will say Ubometa or Abifere. But the first thing you do as a family, you go to your room privately to go and check. If you check and you know it's not good, don't go to the Ubometa, then the whole thing will be known. So when you go to the Ubometa, they say Ubeji, Ijala, and Bokodo has to come together to sit down. So they have a woo from all of these communities to Bife. And at that point, you can't really, unless the person is so known that they want to spoil the name, which they can do too. They can connive and say, this person has treated us this way, and we just think we'll punish the person. And you can remove those groups and redo it. I've seen
wow.
the ones that have been redone before. One of my uncle in Koko, all the children were living in Lagos, and before they came, they threw him away already. They throw him, and in Coco, they don't do nothing. They just take you across the river and throw you over there. And when the children came, they were so furious. They went to the police station, arrest all the elders in Coco, and put them behind the bar and say they want to take their father. So they went across to the bush. Some people followed them. I think this was like the 5th or 6th day. And then they took the body and went to Big Worry, used some alcohol and things and wash him up and took him to Big Worry. And when they do the affair in Big Worry, there was nothing wrong. So, like I said, it is possible if they don't like you, if they think you were doing some hard stuff with them and you use the wrong word to be fair. Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah. And then one last question. I know Christianity, from everything we've heard, the Shakiris were one of the first to be introduced to Christianity in Nigeria. And I know how much we have a lot of Christians that would not want to be part of the culture. But from what I've learned from what you've said, the Shakiris don't really practice a lot of juju or like those hardcore blood rituals that you would call against Christianity. All I see here from everything I've heard is culture and Christianity. So why do we so much resent that culture? Because I'm not seeing anything that will make me be scared of the Shakiri culture. But yet you have a lot of Christians that don't want to have anything to do with it. So there's a clash somewhere in between where the white man's religion and what we believe as culture is pushing us away from our culture.
It's like rebranding. If you call the Umale, the masquerade that we're doing now, if you call it a carnival, most people may attend. But when you call it Umale, people don't want to come. And if you look at the history of the Ogboni in Nigeria, the name Ogboni is supposed to be old person in the society. Ogbo Eni, that is an old man. But Archbishop Ogunbi, when it came, he tried to convert it into Christianity and use Christian hymns and things. But there are still some bottom line of things that you will not see when you go to that church. Because when you go to that church in Ikeja, and I've not entered, but I've been there. When the members come, they enter inside that church and they lock the whole door during the service. There's no AC in there because they want darkness. They do it in darkness. So most of the things we do that we could have explained, we did not explain it to our people But now we cannot go out to explain it because everybody's scared. That's the difference within that and Christianity. We don't have nothing in Christianity. We cannot tell a woman, a child, or anybody. We can tell everybody everything. But the Itsekiri culture, there are things you cannot say. Like the Olu die for 3 months, they have to wait, or whatever months. Make sure you have somebody else. Make sure you have somebody that will take the body to Ijala, the body to Big Worry, and all this. When you go deeper, there are more things in there that they are doing. You will not do that in Christianity. In Christianity, when somebody dies, we don't do no oracle. We believe that the person is being called, is in a better place, and we celebrate. But the Shekiri don't believe that. They don't. So it is still deeper than what we see in the surface or what I can teach in a lesson like this, because there are many things I can't talk about. There are many things I can say, but I don't want to talk about it in the public domain because the Shekiri culture, there are so many things that are still secret and is not open.
Same with
Okay. So
Christianity
Wendy,
too.
hold on for a
Christianity
minute.
being the white man's religion too. There are some hidden things we don't know about. If you go from the Catholics to even the present Pentecostal, there are things that we don't know about too. Sorry.
No, but you see, as a deacon and as somebody who also train other deacons and teach in the school, in the church, I know there's no book of the Bible they will tell me not to read. The 66th book of the Bible is open to everybody, male, female, everybody. No Greek, no this, no that. But if they're doing Okere Juju in Wari, I think you're from Okere partially, Abi. If they are doing Okere Juju, when Okoye is coming, can you follow Okoye back to the Ekun? No, we can't follow him. Then there are many things they're doing. Okay, the young Awankere jump around. And you know them, you call their name, they know you, they talk to you. But there's some other culture, you can't talk to them, you can't call their name. And they make it so secret. There is, as a Christian, I don't think there is a white man religion. Christianity is not from the European. Jesus was not a European. Jesus was from the Middle East. He's from Israel. He has no connection. I think the problem that we have is that we try to label things. The British, the other European countries emulate the good things of Christianity and they progress faster than any other persons. But those of us who sees it as wrong or that we're losing our things are those who are still struggling with it. Christianity, I think, is the best religion in the world, in my opinion, because it's open and it brings progress. It brings education, it brings hospitals, it brings all this. When we're young in the village, when people are sick, you know what they do? They light a little light, bring a bottle, put a light in the bottle and cut your body and put it. They will say, I'm not doing Egbita. Egbita means there is a bad blood there. They want to take it out. Which one is the good blood and the bad? My grandmother used to do that for herself. Everybody, when she has a small pain in her back, she put it. When she has a small pain here, and nobody treated her. She died. So there's a lot of good things in the scriptures that can build societies. And then you turn it there to democracy, which I would say is part of it, where everybody come together and do things fairly and bring progress. But we haven't got to that stage.
Okay, so a couple of questions for you. To your point, when Ogboni had so much secrecy with it, for those of us who grew up with it, and there's a lot that is not being said out in public from Ogboni. So I don't see how we can bring that to this conversation because there's just no way. But
No.
question for you, Shekiri has marriages in absentia. Help us understand how is it because we are marrying families? how is it that you can have other people represent the bride and groom and yet you legitimize the marriage and register it? Can you touch on that? Are you aware of that culture?
Yeah. I am aware of it. Those days, the Itsekiris will find it very hard to marry. And sometimes because of relationship, we are all related. We may be from the same village, and to go to another village to go and get a wife is expensive. So the few people who can go, if you are far away from there, you might send somebody to do it for you. And the marriage is within family. It's not the two of you. Once you are married, we know it's you and you marrying, but you're marrying into a family, and all that family becomes part of that wedding or marriage, and all of them are praying for you. And so they will tell you, when you're doing the marriage, like when we had the lesson before, they will count 8 in the hands of the father, not the son. Sometimes they'll do with the son and the father's hand together. But in reality, it's a marriage within the whole family. So even if the person is not there physically, somebody can represent him from the family, and then the wife goes to him.
Sorry, I wanted us to touch on it a bit because I think the young people these days, they think, oh, it's me and the man, but in truth, by our culture, it's the family.
It's a
So
family.
it cannot be two people. You are marrying the total family. So you learn to, because the Yorubas do it also, you learn to welcome every member of the family you are marrying into.
Yeah, that is correct. You're not married that person alone. You're married to the whole family. Family of the man, married to them, and then the woman, the boy become part of the other family. And the Shakiri will say something like, Inna oketa nebie. So it's like saying, after you count the children, you count the family, the Inna becomes the next part of the family. It's all part of the family. So whether it's a woman that comes into the family, she becomes part of the family, or a man that comes into the family becomes part of the family, and they all relate together. And let us think about it. If you go to Itsekiri villages, you see all our houses are built okobeli to okobeli. You all know what is called okobeli to okobeli. There's really not enough space to walk between houses because everybody lives in their father, grandfather, great-grandfather's compound, and everybody relate together. Who has food, bring it. Who has this, bring it. And I don't know, in Jala, until tomorrow when you go to Jala, everybody still live like that. Everybody wants to eat together in the morning, in the evening. Everybody, one person have food, everybody have food. So it may not be enough, but it's a small one, everybody will share it. Any other questions?
Yes, I have another question. This one is 2 in 1. Can Itsekiri do the traditional burial and don't bury in Itsekiri land?
If you do a burial, you are only honoring the dead. It doesn't matter where you bury the person. And you see the agban that we do in Itsekiri, there is something they put there. When the person dies, and you can't bring the person to Itsekiri land to bury, you can bury him anywhere. If you have the courage, you can take fingers from the right hand, cut some nails from the right hand, cut the hair, and cut the toenails, and you tie it like a skeleton. And that represents that person. And you can take that back to bury. And sometimes you don't want to do that. You can bury the person over anywhere. And when you want to do that funeral, they have what they call the uju. That means they call the soul of the person. I didn't know what they did, but I went with them once. And you sit in the boat, they go to the middle of the river, and they call the person's name. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And then could be a big fly or something will come and they'll trap that as the soul of the person. And that means they bring the person back and they do the ceremonies. So there are so many ways. You don't have to bury the person in big way to do.
Yeah. What's the second burial or final burial that sometimes people bury people and then they say you have to go back and do the second burial or the final burial? If not, that will hang on your children.
Yeah. When they're doing funeral in Itsekiri, when they biokule, there will be kurusu. And those kurusu are not cheap. Those gunpowder are not cheap. And in the midnight, they will do another one. In the morning, they will do another one. And before they do all those kurusu, you have to kill goats for some culture, so some community. You have to kill some goats. All those goats and things that they are killing and the drinks that they are presenting cost a lot of money. So some people, before now, when somebody died in Itsekiri, maybe that time we're not wise enough. When somebody died in Itsekiri, they don't take that body to the mortuary. We just sit with the dead until morning. By 5:30 in the morning or 5 o'clock, they dig the grave and bury the person. There's nothing happened. They've not done no funeral. Because you cannot do the funeral for the person, the oku, until you bury the person. So when you just korumaju and you bury the person, it means nothing was done. But if you had gone, if you were wise, don't do the korumaju, go and bury the person. And then biokule, that's where they count it. So if you have not biokule and you do all the things you were doing, it's all wasted effort. But some people do that because they don't want to take the body to the mortuary and they don't have the money readily to do it. So they wait until they have that money. And the more you wait, the society run away from you now, because they said, when it was new, we could have joined you to do it. But now it's your responsibility. That's why some people don't do it. And then once one person dies, you don't do for that person. You cannot do for the next one. You cannot do for the next one. Until you find a rich person in the family who can stand up and say, I want to do from beginning to the end. And you look rustu and you do all that. And you kill the goats that they need to be killed. And you do all that. And then you finish all the ceremony, then it's done. But if you don't do it, it hang on. And you can't just take 1 out of 10. So you have to, it becomes more difficult. But in the last few years, you will see that when Itsekiri people die, what they do first is they go get the body from the mortuary, they dance, take them to the house a little bit, and they go straight to bury. And then when they come back in the night, maybe at 11 o'clock, they already build the Agban house and everything. Whatever you do from that stage, as the body is not fresh on the ground, is called yoku. Does that answer the question?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Any more questions? Are we done?
7:51.
Okay. We're almost at the end of the thing. Any more questions? If no other questions, thank you very much for listening. It's a long topic, but it's always good to know because our people believe in many things. God bless you all and thank you. And thank you for listening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You are welcome. You are welcome.
Thank you, everyone.
And I don't quite bullshit.
Yes, you share you. Yes.
Thank you. We'll post this on the platform, so if you want to revisit, we'll post it on our YouTube page and all. If you missed anything, you can always go back. But thank everyone for joining. I've enjoyed your week, the rest of your weekend, and have a good week.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you.